Russell T. Davies has finally admitted it. He admits the ratings for his latest Doctor Who season are not doing well. However, he is still trying to spin the show as a success, pointing to the under 35 demographic. I am joined by John Delarose, a science fiction novelist and Doctor Who expert, to discuss Davies' comments as well as the ratings for the show. Welcome to the Trump Report, Mr.
Thanks for having
Delarose.
me, John. Well, happy to be here.
So wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And Russell T. Davies has finally admitted that the show's ratings are not doing that well. He's kind of been wishy-washy on this, obviously pointing to the fact that they're not doing as well as what they hoped, and they might not have the third and fourth seasons as he originally imagined. But now he's actually admitting that they're not doing well. This was reported by Radio Times during this appearance he made at a BAFTA event called A Life in Pictures. He said this: "In coming back, I wanted to make it simpler and I wanted to make it younger. Those two things are often not discussed. You read reactions to it and people are missing that. It's simpler and younger and it is working. The under 16s and the 16 to 34 audience as well is massive." So obviously he's already trying to position this as some kind of win, but then he goes on and admits that this is all spin and that the show isn't doing well. He says it's not doing that well in the ratings, but it is doing phenomenally well with the younger audience that we wanted. So we can see the ratings here, courtesy of Doctor Who TV. They are absolutely atrocious. If you compare these ratings to Doctor Who Guide on their ratings to all of the other Doctor Who episodes of all time, 5 of these episodes are in the 5 of the worst 10 rated of all time. What do you make of these ratings here, and that Russell is actually admitting that they're not doing well?
They're absolutely dismal, and the other poorly rated episodes are the ones right before this with Jodie Whittaker, the female race or the female replacement doctor, also. And so, if you look at it, all of their attempts to go woke with their TV, which is really what he's doing when he's saying we're trying to make it simpler, we're trying to appeal to a younger audience, a modern audience. He means that he's trying to push identity politics, extreme leftism on the audience through his scripts, which has been done this entire time. I mean, I remember Bubble and Dot when I was watching it going, okay, this is an interesting commentary on social media. And then at the end of it, he just like flips the script and all these white people were dumb and manipulated and they refused to go with the doctor. And it was clearly because he's black, and he starts crying because of the racism. And I'm like, oh God, this is so insufferable. And that's what people saw this entire season. It's insufferable. These are bad scripts. They're not simpler. In fact, Russell T. Davies' scripts are more convoluted than I've ever seen. They're just poorly written, and the audience is tuning out because of that.
So it's not just Davey saying this stuff too. We do have this kind of BBC spokesman here, also kind of spinning this about like, oh, we're doing so well with the under 35s. And so this BBC spokesman said this: Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs on iPlayer and is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographic across all streamers and broadcasters. In fact, the spokesman went on to brag this season of Doctor Who premiered on iPlayer nearly 24 hours before broadcast, and episode 1 has already been viewed by nearly 6 million viewers and continues to grow. However, if we actually look at these numbers, you can see it already had 4 million views within a week. So this guy is bragging that 2 months later, it's now just at 6 million. So they're bragging about how well the show is doing by doing poorly, and then they're actually not revealing whatever the demographic is for the under 35. So we don't know what that percentage is. So we don't know actually how many of that 4 million, now 6 million, are actually in this so demographic that they're saying that they are doing so well for. And then one of the other things is, I think they're saying that this is their best show in that demographic. Well, wow. If this is their best show, we know the ratings are absolutely atrocious. That just shows how awful their other programs are doing in that demo.
That's right. And I saw some cope in the American audiences going, well, this doesn't show the Disney Plus numbers. But we've looked at Disney Plus numbers recently just with The Acolyte, because Nielsen's released their top 10. And guess what's not in it? Any of the Doctor Who episodes. So, so things are not going better in America whatsoever. People are not watching this show. They have 100% tuned out, and they know it. And Russell T. Davies said this pretty much the other day, too, when he was giving an interview about this, saying that it's up in the air whether they're going to get a third season or not. I've never heard of Doctor Who being up in the air since the reboot started in 2005. They've always presumed this is going to go because this is one of BBC's biggest watch shows up until of course Jodie Whittaker when they tanked the show with this stuff. They're just doubling down. I believe that Russell T Davies thinks that the government's just going to fund him no matter what to push the DEI agenda. And so they just are sitting here in their little cushy environments and then just watching it burn around them. It's really sad.
Yeah, 100%. I did want to go back to something here that Davies did say up here because he talks about how like people aren't talking about this yet. He talks about it in nearly every interview I've seen him
Right.
give. Is that he is indeed targeting like the youth? So what do you make of that? The fact that he's saying that like people aren't talking about it yet. Literally every interview that he gives about this show, which is pretty much every week because they do these like recap episodes with the BBC where he's talking about this. What do you make of the fact that he's saying that people aren't talking about it when he literally talks about it or has been talking about it every week?
Yeah, I've been reporting on this for since he's been coming out with this new series. That I mean, this intention of Russell T Davies is clearly grooming. He has made it clear that he wants to put his sexual fetishes in front of an audience that's under 16, and that's what this. If you read between the lines, that's what he's saying here. It's disgusting, and I mean, this was a family program. Doctor Who really was a family program. Russell T Davies has really tried to push the envelope at a couple times over the years, but for the most part, it's you could stay away from this stuff, and now it's just in your face every single episode, and it's all about influencing the children. I can only speculate as to what that means for his personal life, but it doesn't look good regardless.
Yeah, I know. I tried to watch the Christmas special when that came out, and I just couldn't because the propaganda was so blatant, so apparent, so in your face. And I'll admit, I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan, but I did try and watch that Christmas special, and I couldn't even make it through it because it was just I was so repulsed by it. It physically recoiled from it because it was so vile.
Yes. There is some good news though, is that these people know they're doing wrong at the end of the day. And even when they're trying to insert their messages and they're doing it in a heavy-handed manner, they end up putting a kernel of truth into things by accident. If you look at the maestro with the drag queen villain there, yeah, the drag queen villain was a narcissistic villain who's trying to steal joy and art from everybody in the world and then destroy that. If you think about it, that's kind of exactly what they're doing. And then when he tried to give his pro-abortion message, the doctor ended up having to go back and try to save the children who were there, who the corporations wanted aborted. That was the heroic act he was going to do, was to save the children from the abortionists. So it really, despite the fact that they talked about it and tried to push that agenda, the end result, because you just can't lie that hard, I guess, is that a little bit of truth does get out in this. Doesn't make the episodes good at all, and it's clear what their intentions are when you watch these because the dialogue's so bad. But he's still just like, for some reason, the truth always comes through, and I guess that's kind of the message here, is that no matter how bad things get, no matter how bad the culture gets, God's still going to get his message out there, and God's still going to create goodness, even out of some of the most vile things. Greatness comes, and I think that's something that we can take heart in.
Yeah, that is a really, really great message. Always love to hear that. That is the Christian message, right? The greatest evil ever committed was the execution of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but it's also the moment of our greatest salvation as He conquers death and opens the gates of heaven to us. But I do have kind of one question: where do you see Doctor Who going in the future here? Do you think, obviously, we are going to get a second season for this? It's obviously it's basically one season that they split into two, right? But do you actually see them moving forward with this third and fourth season that Davies has says he's been writing on? It does seem like he's almost already talking about other projects as well now and kind of moving on because the ratings are so bad. And like we said here, he is actually admitting that the ratings are not doing well.
Well, Bad Wolf messaged me about uh, 9 months ago, and told me
That's the production
that
company for Doctor Who,
yeah,
correct?
correct, that Nikuti Gatwa is contracted through 2029. So if they don't go forward with it, it sounds like they're going to have to pay him out anyway. And that's the big scam of the woke. That's a whole another video. Just they always get this job security where you can't fire them. So Russell T Davies is writing it anyway. He is contracted anyway. Will they go forward with it? I can only imagine so, because I think a lot of this is funded through BlackRock and Disney, which then will push this even if it's a loss leader, because they want to push the social agenda. But it's not going to be good. I mean, the next season's going to have even more dismal ratings. Even the mainstream media turned on Russell T Davies for the finale here because it was so poorly written. The whole Ruby Sunday mystery thing that they built up over the season as their big payoff didn't really pay off. It was just like a giant letdown. And so reviews of those final episodes, even from the shill media, were bad. And now that that's been revealed, and Millie
Jedi Ray all over again.
Last Jedi, right? It
Yeah.
is, after they said it was good the whole time. And then Millie Gibson's going to be out as the companion next year. She's going to be in for, I think they said like 2 episodes, and might do a return in the finale. And they're going to replace her with an Indian woman. So now they're going to double down on this like diversity, which is just anti-white. And I think that's tough for a British audience to get over when there's literally going to be no white people in their own show. It's cultural appropriation. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me to discuss these abysmal ratings. Russell T Davies admitting that they're not doing well, and the future of Doctor Who. And I'd like to just remind everyone in the audience, thank you for tuning in. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth. Have a good day, John.
Thanks.